ashamed of her dress, until a billionaire came at midnight, a life-changing dance. The clock struck midnight, a dark and heavy hour when shadows deepened and secrets whispered behind closed doors. In the heart of the city, a single light flickered from a shabby apartment window, where Emily stood, paralyzed by dread. Her dress, a threadbare remnant of last season's fashion, clung to her like a shroud, a constant reminder of her struggles. She could only imagine the gala happening just a few blocks away, where laughter bubbled and champagne flowed like rivers of gold. The thought sent a shiver racing down her spine. All she wanted was to feel beautiful, but tonight she'd feel like a ghost. The old radiator groaned, an eerie sound that fractured the silence. But then, out of nowhere, came a knock. Loud, commanding. Emily's heart raced. Who could it be at this hour? With trembling hands, she opened the door just a crack, and there he stood, a man dressed in a pristine suit, his jawline sharp enough to cut glass. He exuded an air of mystery that made her breath hitch. "I'm here for you," he said, his voice smooth as silk with an undercurrent of urgency that sent chills through her. He seemed almost too perfect, like someone who had stepped right out of a storybook. Emily's gut tightened. Was she dreaming, or was this real? The doubt clawed at her, but his gaze was fixing her in place, unable to escape it. The dim hallway echoed their heartbeat, the space thick with uncertainty. A moment hung suspended between them, thickening the air. Just when she thought to step back, he leaned in closer, and his perfume, a rich, intoxicating blend of cedar and citrus, wrapped around her, stirring a mix of hope and disbelief. His eyes sparkled with mischief and promise, as if he knew things she could only imagine. "Come with me. I'll change everything for you." Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. A flutter of excitement broke the tension. Could this be her moment? She hesitated, a lump in her throat. What if this man was trouble? But the allure of change tugged at her heart. Just a dance, a chance to escape her reality, she convinced herself. She took a deep breath and stepped outside, filling her lungs with the crisp night air. As if sensing her resolve, he extended his hand, glimmering under the streetlight like it was laced with stars. It was a simple gesture, yet it felt monumental. "This way to a better life," he said, eyes glinting with secrets. But as she stepped into the unknown, her pulse racing like a drum, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something much darker. As they walked, the shadows lengthened behind them, and Emily glanced back. Was someone watching from the darkness? A silhouette lingered, menacing and still, just beyond the reach of the light. And suddenly, her heart lurched. What would this midnight adventure really cost her? Emily took a deep breath, her uncertainty battling with a flicker of hope. The man beside her, with his confident stride, pulled her into a new world, one painted with the colors of intrigue and allure. Yet, the nagging sensation of being followed sent a chill down her spine, forcing her to shake the feeling off. As they reached the corner, the streets transformed. The neon lights of the nearby gala flickered against the darkness, dazzling to her as if they were stars fallen from the sky. "Welcome to the party," he said, his tone teasing yet knowing. "You'll never want to leave." She looked at him, feeling the weight of his gaze, questioning what he saw in her. Was she truly worthy of the splendor? The lavish chandeliers, the laughter floating through the night air, it all felt so foreign. "Wait," she hesitated. "What is your name?" "Vincent." His smile was broad, inviting a sense of warmth, yet it cloaked a mystery that felt like a masquerade. And I'm not here to take no for an answer. As if on cue, he pulled her into the gala, the crowd enveloping them in a buzz of energy. The heat intensified. People danced with abandon, their laughter mingling with the music, which pulsated like a heartbeat. Emily suddenly felt small amidst the glamour, the fear creeping back. What was she doing here, dressed as a ghost among the dazzling? Vincent's hand found the small of her back, guiding her through the sea of bodies. She felt a jolt at his touch. It ignited something deep within her. "Just follow my lead," he instructed softly, his voice barely heard over the music. And when they stepped onto the dance floor, her nerves softened. They moved seamlessly, Vincent spinning her as if she were light as air. The weight of her dress, once a shackle, transformed into an emblem of her grace. She twirled, exhilaration pooling within her, as she let herself be swept away by the rhythm. Yet, in the midst of her delight, the silhouette from earlier flashed in her mind. Was he still watching? A looming presence in the corner of her thoughts, she could almost feel it. The laughter and cheers around her faded slightly as her heart raced, her pulse echoing in her ears. "Don't worry about them. Just focus on me," Vincent's voice broke through her haze. A smirk danced on his lips, as if he could read her fears. But she couldn't just ignore the feeling. Who was at her back in the shadows? As the song ended, tension hung thick in the air. Vincent leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear. "You want to know a secret?" She nodded, heart racing. "Tonight isn't just to dance. It's an escape." Before she could respond, a loud crash interrupted them. The glass of champagne shattered on the floor, a shocking silence enveloping the room. All eyes turned towards the source of the chaos. Time slowed. Among the stunned crowd, she saw that silhouette. Now stepped into the light, a familiar face veiled in fury. Emily's heart sank. It was someone from her past, someone she thought was gone. As the music faded, an electric tension filled the room. Who was truly in danger here? The night was just beginning, but everything could unravel in a heartbeat. What else lay hidden in the shadows as the clock struck 1? Emily's breath hitched in her throat as the familiar face stalked forward, cutting through the vibrant chaos like a knife. She recognized him instantly, Jake. The last person she expected to see, and the last person she wanted a reunion with. Memories surged, flooding her mind with echoes of arguments and shadowed secrets. "Emily!" His voice rang out, commanding yet tinged with an unsettling mix of anger and desperation. The crowd parted, eyes shifting from the broken glass to their growing confrontation. She could feel the heat of embarrassment flood her cheeks, fear tightening around her chest like a vice. "Stay close to me," Vincent whispered, tensing beside her. His hand lingered on her waist, solid and reassuring. But the warmth of his presence barely pierced through Emily's rising panic. She fought to meet Jake's gaze, searching for any sign of the man she used to know. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice catching as she struggled to mask the tremor in her voice. "Isn't it obvious?" "I'm here for you," he replied, his eyes narrowing, his tone dripping with something dark. A wave of murmur rippled through the audience, whispers casting a net of judgment. Emily hated being the center of attention. But Jake appeared undeterred, stepping closer until she could see the clenched fists at his sides, the way his jaw muscle twitched. "Let us not make a scene," Vincent interrupted, stepping in front of Emily, as if his towering frame could shield her from the reality of her past. "There is no need for drama tonight." Drama? There couldn't be a more perfect word for it. Emily's heart raced, caught between unexpected anger and fear. Jake's presence felt like a spotlight she couldn't escape, forcing her to relive the shadows she thought were long buried. "Emily, come on. You think you can just disappear from my life? You can't run away from what you've done." His voice bore into her, slicing through the impending music. Enough. Vincent's voice thundered, deep and menacing. He stepped forward, an imperious apparition in a suit. You want to talk? Take it somewhere private. This is no place for accusations. Their standoff electrified the air, a palpable tension that felt ready to snap. Every moment stretched, time expanding as she waited for Jake's reaction. Are you really going to listen to him? Jake's face twisted with disbelief morphing into disdain. You don't know him. Something in Emily flickered between loyalty and fear. You don't understand, but I do. He interrupted, his features softened for a moment, vulnerability flickering in his eyes before the rage returned. You just pretend like it never happened. The crowd watched, breaths held, hearts beating with adrenaline. Emily could feel their eyes boring into her, judging her harshly for the life she led and the decisions she had made. Each face held silent questions. Who was Jake? Why were they fighting? How could she go from spinning on the dance floor to battling the ghosts of her past? Vincent shifted protectively between them. Emily, let us leave, he urged, concern lacing his once confident tone. His eyes darted over Emily's shoulder, scanning the crowd, seeming to sense the danger enveloping them. But leave? The thought felt like defeat. Just then, a figure broke through the swirling sea of tuxedos and sequin gowns, drawing Emily's gaze. An elderly woman with silver hair and bright red lipstick. She carried an air of authority that commanded attention. Emily! The woman called, her voice crisp and sharp like the snapping of a whip. It's time we have a conversation. Emily's heart raced. Who was she? The uncertainty swelled again, fluttering anxiously in her stomach, disconnecting her from the world around her. As the tension thickened, Emily knew she was standing at a crossroads, her past and present colliding violently. But the plot twisted anew as Vincent's grip tightened on her waist, even as the ground beneath her felt unsteady. Would she walk away and risk her secrets unraveling, or confront the truth hidden in the shadows, knowing the danger could strike at any moment? The clock was ticking, and with it came the urgency of her decision. What secrets awaited her in the face of a woman who clearly knew more than she let on? Emily's mouth turned dry as she stared at the silver-haired woman who seemed to vibrate with authority. A guard against her past? Or an unexpected ally? The crowd buzzed with barely contained whispers, eyes darting between Emily, Jake, and Vincent, awaiting the next act of this chaotic drama. Excuse me? Emily managed, her voice faint, her heart drumming against her ribs. The woman's presence was magnetic but overwhelming. Time to face the music, dear, the woman said, glancing back at Jake, whose face froze, caught between anger and confusion. And you, young man, better step aside. You don't know what you're doing. Jake shot back, his voice sharp. She is not what? The elderly woman cut him off, her voice rising, filled with a surprising force. Not worth it? Or doesn't he deserve to know the truth about you? Emily needs to hear this. Emily's stomach twisted, a mix of dread and curiosity clawing at her. What could this woman possibly know? What had Jake hidden? She felt Vincent tightening his grip, his strong presence a comfort in the whirlwind of her emotions. Emily, let us just leave, Vincent urged again, his brow furrowed with concern. She could see the unease shadowing his usually composed demeanor. But something inside her resisted. No, she breathed, unwilling to run. I need to know. Smart girl, the woman said, her tone shifting to something softer, yet still resolute. But be careful. Some truths come with heavy consequences. Consequences. The word echoed in her mind. Could she handle what lay ahead? Could she take another jab at the truth that had haunted her? Speak, then, Emily said, her voice steadier now. What do you know? The woman's gaze sharpened, as if surveying a battlefield before launching into the fray. Your life has been a well-curated illusion, Emily. It's time to shatter that facade. Jake's jaw tightened, a new tension creeping in. Emily felt the eyes of the crowd pressing down on her, a tangible weight that threatened to crush her resolve. Yet she stood rooted, unwilling to yield to fear any longer. "What do you mean?" she demanded. The murmurs among the crowd intensified, a blend of intrigue and revulsion. Everybody felt they were at the edge of something explosive. "Your mother was mixed up in things you can't even imagine," the elderly woman stated, a calmness wrapping around her words like a protective cloak. "Things that involve people who think they own this city." And Emily shifted her attention toward him, the weight of his name hanging in the air like a bomb ready to detonate. "She's your key to unlocking a past that could prove dangerous," the woman concluded, glancing between them. A slow realization trickled through Emily. Her heart thundered, the adrenaline coursing through her veins like wildfire. "Is that why you're here, Jake?" She could see the turmoil in his eyes, the flicker of the boy she used to know battling against the man he'd become. "Is that why you followed me? To keep me away from the truth?" He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. Instead, his hands clenched into fists, confusion and desperation warring on his face. Before Jake could muster a reply, a strange figure emerged from the tapestry of guests, a man with shimmering blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, and an unsettling smirk. He glided toward them, cutting through the crowd like a predator zeroing in on its prey. Holding a glass of champagne, the man's voice rolled like velvet across the room as he spoke. "What a touching reunion! But I must say, the clock is ticking for all of you." Every head turned, tension electrifying the air. A chilling realization crept in. What did he know? How deep did the secrets run? Emily felt the flutter of panic as the enormity of her reality loomed larger than life. Would she unravel the strands of her past, only to grab onto a darker future? The dance of fate surged, and with it, the question hung. Who was this new arrival, and what was the danger he carried with him? Emily's heart raced, her instincts screaming for her to flee, yet she stood frozen as the man, with the piercing blue eyes, toyed with their unease. He leaned closer, his voice low and honeyed, but filled with something dark and sinister. "Interesting, isn't it?" he said, glancing at the elderly woman. "The secrets we keep, and the fates that intertwine." The silver-haired woman seemed unmoved, her expression steady. "You have no business here, Nathan. This doesn't concern you." A chuckle escaped him, but it lacked warmth. "Oh, but it does. You see, I possess a keen interest in Emily's story, as tangled as it may be. Dear Emily, are you ready for the truth?" She felt a chill curl around her spine. How did he know her name? Who was he? The weight of the crowd's eyes bore down harder, their anticipation a heavy blanket of pressure. "Nathan." Jake's voice was strained, the tension in the air tightening like a noose. "What do you want?" Nathan rolled his eyes dismissively, as if Jake's presence was insignificant. "Just to enlighten a few souls caught in this charming web of deceit." Emily dared a glance at Jake, catching a glimpse of his crossed arms, the way he held himself, ready to pounce yet visibly hesitant. "Enlightenment is a dangerous game." The silver-haired woman's voice took on a sharper edge. "And you know the risks that come with revealing too much." "Risks only matter to those who fear the truth," Nathan shot back. He locked eyes with Emily, his gaze a swirl of interest and threat. "Is it fear that grips you, darling? Or curiosity?" Neither option appealed to her right now. "What do you know about my mother?" The words slipped out before she could think them through, desperation mingling with defiance. A satisfied smile graced Nathan's lips. "Ah, now we're getting somewhere." He paused, allowing the moment to stretch unbearably. She wasn't just a mother. She was involved with powerful people, and those people don't forget easy. Emily's breath hitched in her throat. "What do you mean?" He waved his hand almost theatrically, as if presenting a grand revelation. Your mother once held a key position in a game that no one plays lightly. And now? He leaned in closer. Her enemies are coming for you, Emily. Panic shot through her, and she shot a glance at Vincent, who stood ready, muscles coiled like a tightly wound spring. What enemies? She snapped, anger boiling beneath the surface. Those who believe they own this city, Nathan said, his tone a chilling sigh. They know you're here, and they want closure. Or revenge. Emily swallowed hard. The realization hit her like a slap. Her ties to a past she never understood were about to ensnare her. She steadied herself, searching for any hint of reassurance in Vincent's gaze, but he was staring past her towards the door, his face going pale. Get out, he warned, plunging into action, pushing Emily behind him. Now. The crowd began to murmur, a chaotic swell of fear tightening the air. What is happening? Emily felt glued to her spot, dread pooling in her belly. Just trust me, Vincent cried, urgency lacing his voice as he glanced over his shoulder. Behind him, the entrance began to crack with shadows, figures emerging as if summoned by Nathan's words. Nobody is leaving just yet, Nathan purred, his smirk unfurling like poison. The game is just getting started. Emily felt ice crawl up her spine. What had she unwittingly stepped into? The truth was now a terrifying whisper in her ear, echoing loudly against her sanity. As Vincent took a protective stance, Emily caught sight of the looming shapes advancing through the crowd, dark silhouettes that radiated danger. Are you ready for the truth? Nathan's voice rang out, mocking. A low growl emerged from one of the shapes, sending a wave of terror crashing over her. She had to confront the fate looming before her, her past, her mother's hidden life, and whatever shadowy reckoning awaited. What had she awakened? The question hung heavy in the air. Whatever was coming had the potential to change everything. Would she embrace the truth, or would she fall victim to the consequences of those who once held her fate? Emily's heart thudded in her chest as her eyes darted from Nathan to the dark figures inching closer. Vincent's arm was like iron behind her, but fear started to grip her more tightly than any arm could. The silhouettes were now fully visible, each of them a reminder of the danger that coiled around her like smoke. Vincent, she whispered, panic creeping into her voice. What if they come for us? He glanced back at her, his eyes fierce with determination. We have to keep moving. We can't stand here. Before she could reply, one of the shadowy figures stepped into the flickering light of the bar, revealing a gaunt face framed by wild hair. It was grotesquely familiar, possessing the same piercing eyes as Nathan. A chill ran through Emily. She felt suddenly exposed, as if her very essence was on display. Are you glad you came here tonight, Emily? Nathan's voice dripped with mockery. He took a slow step forward, hands sliding into his pockets as if this was merely a game. You've stumbled into a tale more twisted than you know. Stop! Vincent growled, his voice low and steady despite the chaos swelling around them. You don't scare us. Nathan's laughter filled the bar, echoing against the walls. Oh, but you're already scared, my friend. You just haven't realized how deep the rabbit hole goes. He gestured to the encroaching figures. Let me introduce you to some of my associates. They're eager to make your acquaintance. Emily's breath quickened as another figure stepped into view. This one, a broad man with a rough scar running down his cheek, smirked as he surveyed the crowd, his gaze landing on Emily like a predator's. What do you want? She demanded, feeling the weight of the crowd's gaze turn sharply towards her, each face reflecting uncertainty and apprehension. What do I want? Nathan echoed, a playful glint in his eyes. I want to offer you a choice, Emily. You could remain shrouded in ignorance, just another pawn in a game that has already begun, or you could step forward and reclaim what is rightfully yours. What does that even mean? Emily shot back, her voice firm but tremulous. Your mother, he said, and the air seemed to thicken. She left you a legacy, a dangerous legacy. Pieces of a puzzle hidden by lies, waiting for the right person to uncover them. You can run, but that won't save you. Vincent's grip on her tightened as the realization struck her. She was tangled in a web far bigger than she could comprehend. And if I do uncover them? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Then you might just learn who you truly are, Nathan replied smoothly, stepping closer, his voice low enough for only her to hear. After all, it's your story now. Are you ready to take control? Suddenly, the crowd erupted into chaos. Shouts rang out as drinks toppled and tables scraped against the floor. Emily's heart raced. This was more than just a confrontation. This was a reckoning. Run! Vincent shouted, his voice a desperate command. He grabbed her wrist, tugging her toward the back exit just as the gaunt figure lunged, a blur of movement that sent adrenaline coursing through her veins. Emily stumbled but kept her footing, panic-blurred thoughts racing in her mind. She didn't want to be a pawn. She wanted to know the truth about her past, but at what cost? They surged through the throng, the bar's ominous atmosphere swirling with confusion. Just as they neared the exit, Emily glanced back at Nathan, who watched them with an amused smile, as if this was all a prelude to his master plan. Outside, the cool night air hit her hard, puncturing the heat of her fear. They spilled into the alley, but the danger was far from over. She could still feel those menacing eyes on her, shadows of a past she wished she could escape. Where do we go now? She gasped, breathless from the combination of fear and desperation. Vincent met her gaze, his eyes scanning the alley, as if searching for ghosts. We need to find a place to hide, figure out our next move. But as he turned away to lead her, a dark figure loomed at the alley's mouth. This time, it wasn't just Nathan. As came, it was a full-blown chase. Emily, Vincent breathed, a warning etched across his face as the temperature in the air shifted, thickening with impending danger. Would they evade the shadows long enough to uncover the truth? Or would fear claim her before she had a chance to confront her destiny? The tension crackled between them, the challenge laid bare. Could she change her fate before it swallowed her whole? They sprinted down the dimly lit alley, the echo of their footsteps mingling with the distant shouts of bar patrons. Fear clawed at Emily's insides, gnawing at her focus. The shadows behind them began to take shape, and for every step she took, the sense of being hunted closed in. Vincent abruptly halted, jerking Emily to a stop beside him. There. He pointed to a door slightly ajar, its rusty hinges holding a promise of temporary refuge. Without waiting for her response, he pushed it open, and they slipped inside. The smell was musty, thick with stale air and uncertainty. Emily shivered, but there was no time to falter. Vincent led her through a narrow hallway that opened into a small room cluttered with dust and forgotten memories. Old crates stacked haphazardly, and light from a flickering bulb cast eerie shadows against the peeling wallpaper. "Stay close," he warned, lowering his voice. "We'll regroup here for a moment." Emily nodded, scanning their surroundings. The flickering light made her feel trapped in a bad dream, one where the colors twisted and the walls seemed to whisper secrets. She pressed her back against the wall, fighting the urgency that surged through her like a current. What did Nathan mean? She finally asked, trying to steady her breathing. What legacy? Vincent's eyes darkened, frustration flaring in his expression. I don't know. But whatever it is, it can't be good. He ran a hand through his hair, the tension in his shoulders palpable. We need to figure out what he is after. Just as he said this, a loud thud echoed from outside. Both of them stiffened, straining to hear more. The door creaked ominously, and Emily pressed herself deeper into the shadows. Maybe it's nothing, Vincent suggested, but his voice was hollow, lacking conviction. Nothing doesn't sound like that, Emily countered, her heart hammering. What if they find us? Then we fight, he said, his resolve returning. But we can't panic. Just keep quiet and listen. She could feel the adrenaline flooding her system. What if Nathan was right? What if her entire life had been a lie, a facade masking something profound? The very notion sent ice through her veins. She had to know, but was she ready to face the monster that lurked behind the truth? The sounds intensified, a cacophony of shuffling footsteps and hushed voices. Emily's stomach knotted. She could barely breathe, her body betraying her with fear. Suddenly, the door slammed open, and both Emily and Vincent jumped. Their eyes widened as a figure loomed in the doorway, backlit by the dim streetlight outside. It was one of Nathan's associates, his menacing grin revealing sharp teeth. There you are? He hissed, stepping inside. Thought you could escape, did you? Emily's pulse raced as fear pierced her heart. Vincent positioned himself protectively before her. Stay behind me, he commanded, his voice low but laced with authority. But even as he spoke, two more figures crept in behind the first, effectively cornering them. Emily's mind spun with chaotic thoughts. There was no clear way out, and desperation clawed in her throat. Nowhere to run, the first man sneered. Nathan wants to see you, Emily. He has big plans for your future. The implication hung thick in the air, and a chill sunk deeply into her bones. What had she gotten herself into? Get back, Vincent shouted, pushing Emily instinctively. She stumbled slightly, her eyes flaring wide as she observed the men gathering their strength. What do you want? She managed to choke out, her voice trembling. The room felt suffocating, filled with danger and the unknown. But the man only chuckled, stepping forward into the light. Oh, you'll find out soon enough. But first his gaze fell on Vincent, narrowing dangerously. You need to learn your place. Then, without warning, he lunged. Emily gasped, heart racing as chaos erupted around her. She had to do something, anything, but as she watched Vincent brace himself, a knot of dread twisted tighter in her stomach. Could she really just stand by as everything unraveled? Was this her chance to take control, or would she just end up a helpless pawn in Nathan's reckless game? Just as Vincent and the figure collided, Emily's mind raced. She needed to act and fast. But the stakes felt higher than ever. Would she find the courage buried inside? Or would the truth remain lost in the shadows? In that moment, Emily realized that the true battle was only just beginning. Vincent's body slammed against the wall as the figure charged at him. Grunts echoed, the sound of a fist meeting flesh punctuating the air. Emily's instincts kicked in, producing a wild urge to help, even though her feet felt glued to the floor. Vincent! She screamed, the urgency of his name bursting from her lips. She didn't think. She just moved, heart pounding in her throat. The third man, the one she had almost forgotten, seized her arm, dragging her back. You're coming with me, he growled, his grip like a vice. No! She fought against him, teeth gritting in defiance. She spun in an attempt to break free, but his strength was overwhelming. Panic surged anew, and she raked her nails against his wrist in desperation. Stop squirming, he snapped, tightening his hold just enough to draw a whimper from her. But before he could drag her out into the open, a sharp crack split the air, the sound of Vincent's fist connecting with the first man's jaw. The room trembled with energy as the fight escalated, bodies crashing into old crates, the smell of dust and sweat mixing with something sharp adrenaline. Emily fought harder against her captor, managing to catch a glimpse of Vincent throwing wild punches, his expression a blend of rage and desperation. Let her go, he barked, his voice laced with pure determination. It was a lifeline, but her captor's grip was firm, and he sneered, You think you can win this fight? You're just making it worse. His eyes shone with malice, a dark promise that made her gut churn. With an instinctive twist, Emily planted her foot against her captor's shin, pushing with all her might. He staggered back, stunned for a moment, releasing her. Emily took her chance. She dashed toward Vincent, her senses honed, the chaos swirling around her. "Behind you!" she screamed, but her warning was too late. Another blow landed on Vincent's side, causing him to grunt and stumble. She winced, heart aching as she watched the fight escalate. Rallying her courage, she grabbed a heavy crate and hefted it over her head. In one motion, she swung it toward the nearest assailant, adrenaline propelling her forward. The crate connected with a sickening crunch, and the man crumpled to the ground. "Emily! You did it!" Vincent's surprised shout filled her with warmth, but there was no time to bask in accomplishment. The second man had begun to recover, eyes blistering with fury. "Get ready," Vincent gasped, his breath ragged as he motioned to her a warning to brace for the next storm, their escape still uncertain. But just as they rallied together, the door erupted inwards. A sudden flood of light illuminating the room, and a new silhouette emerged. A woman stood there, strong and composed, her gaze sharp as ice. It was a presence that commanded attention. "Enough," she said, a fierce authority radiating from her voice that instantly silenced the chaos. Emily's breath hitched. There was something both familiar and terrifying about the newcomer. Vincent exchanged a confused glance with Emily, disbelief etched into his features. "Who are you?" he asked, guarded. "Someone who can help you," she replied, her gaze flicking over the chaos in the room, a mix of frustration and urgency driving her demeanor. "But first, we need to move. Now." Emily's heart raced with uncertainty. Could they trust this woman? Vincent hesitated for a moment, still catching his breath, but there was no choice, they couldn't stay here. As he nodded in agreement, the reality of their situation crashed down around them. They weren't out of the woods yet. Nathan's grip was tightening, and the threat loomed larger than ever. "Go!" the woman urged, stepping inside, her eyes scanning for danger. And just like that, they were off again, launching into the unknown with a newfound ally. But what lay ahead? With every step, Emily's heart raced, drowning in a sea of questions. Who was this mysterious woman? Would she truly lead them to safety? Or were they stepping into another web of deceit? As they bolted through the door and into the night, the shadows continued to shift and swirl, secret still, lurking just beyond reach. The game had changed, but the stakes were higher than ever. In the distance, the brief echo of footsteps hinted that they weren't out of danger yet. Would they be able to outrun their pursuers, or would the truth finally catch up with them? The chill of the night air hit them like a splash of cold water, sharp and awakening. Emily ran alongside Vincent, the powerful stranger leading them through twists and turns of the alley, an unsettling energy vibrating around them. "Where are we going?" Emily gasped, struggling to keep pace. Panic seized her chest, her breath quickening. The woman didn't hesitate. "There's a safe house a few blocks from here. We need to lose them first." "Who are they?" Vincent shot back, the urgency in his voice leaving no room for complacency. "They belong to Nathan," she replied, glancing behind them, her expression unreadable. "He is not someone you want to cross, and he has his eye on both of you." Emily felt the weight of those words settle like a stone in her stomach. Nathan. The name sent a ripple of fear down her spine, its implications heavy and foreboding. The shadows seemed to twist with the threat of more dangers lurking just out of sight. "Why are you helping us?" She had to know. Everything felt like a precarious balance, teetering on the edge. The woman's jaw tightened. "Let us focus on surviving first. We can talk once we're safe." They sprinted into a narrow street, their footsteps echoing against the stone. Emily risked a glance over her shoulder, catching a glimpse of the two men emerging from the chaos of the warehouse. Each step they took was one toward safety, but every corner turned risk pulling them into even darker territory. She could feel the pulse of adrenaline throbbing in her veins. "Keep going," the woman urged, her voice firm. Vincent quickened his pace, casting a protective look toward Emily. She felt a surge of gratitude mingled with fear for this man who had fought for her, even when his own safety was on the line. They ducked into another alley, the tantalizing scent of strong coffee wafting from a nearby cafe, a stark contrast to the chaos that had erupted only moments before. Suddenly, the howl of a distant siren sliced through the air. Emily's heart raced. Was it too late? Just ahead. Their captor called, pointing toward a shadowy figure of an old building. Its windows were foggy, and the door was ajar. They rushed inside, the door creaking ominously behind them. The interior was dimly lit, and dust danced in the flickering light, but it felt safer than the chaos outside. "Stay close," the woman said, closing the door with a swift click, locking them in. Emily's breath steadied, but dread coiled tightly in her stomach. "Now what?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Now we wait," the woman replied, her eyes scanning the room, assessing every angle. "But be warned. Nathan won't stop until he finds you." Vincent's shoulders tensed. "What does he want with us?" "He thinks you have something he needs," the woman replied, a hint of worry creasing her brow. Emily felt a shiver crawl up her spine. What could they possibly possess that was so important? Suddenly, loud banging reverberated through the door, making all three of them jump. "You can't hide forever," a voice called out, booming with authority and malice. Vincent took a step closer to Emily, instinctively creating a barrier between her and the door. The pounding grew louder, and panic surged in Emily's chest. "What do we do?" "I'll hold them off. You two need to find a way out." The woman's voice was steady, her resolve unwavering. "No," Vincent protested. "We want to leave you." But the determination in the woman's eyes silenced them both. "You don't understand. This is about more than just survival. You need to know the truth. And if Nathan gets through, we'll never have a chance." The scratching at the door intensified, and Emily's breath hitched. "But what is the truth?" The woman hesitated for a fleeting moment, her gaze shifting. "When the time is right, you'll know. But for now, trust me. Get ready to run." As the door rattled violently, Emily could feel the weight of the unknown pressing down on her. They were trapped, caught in the eye of a storm they hadn't anticipated. As the door cracked under the pressure, an unsettling thought crept in. What was this truth that could change everything? And would they find it before it was too late? Emily's heart raced as she stood in the darkened corner of the old building, her breath coming in quick bursts. The specter of danger hung in the air like fog, thick and suffocating. Vincent inched closer, ready to shield her from whatever came next. The woman, their unexpected protector, clenched her fists, determination etched on her face as the pounding at the door intensified. "We need to move, now." The woman's voice pierced through the tension, cutting like a knife. She moved swiftly toward a hidden panel on the wall, her fingers deft. "This leads to an escape route," she said, eyes darting around. Behind her, the door groaned ominously, the sounds of relentless pounding spilling into the room, echoing their urgency. Emily felt dizzy with fear and determination. She had to break free of the chains of doubt binding her. "Who are you?" she asked, forcing the words out despite the lump in her throat. "Someone who once knew the truth," the woman replied, her resolve unwavering as she finally revealed a narrow door nestled behind an old shelf. "And someone who can help you uncover yours." Vincent exchanged a glance with Emily, concern wrapping around them like barbed wire. "We can't leave you here," he said, voice hoarse with worry. "You have no choice," she yelled, pushing them through the opening. "Go!" I'll hold them off as long as I can." Something about her voice commanded authority, even amidst the chaos outside. Emily took a step toward the door, but paused, conflict tearing at her heart. Just as she hesitated, the door creaked again. "Go!" the woman shouted, urgency twisting the command sharper. With a breath taking the form of a gulp, Emily stepped into the shadows. Vincent followed closely, both sliding through the narrow space, eyes wide and terrified but alive with hope. The corridor was dark, dirt clung to the walls, and they moved quickly, hearts thumping in their chests. Adrenaline drove them forward. "What is your name?" Emily finally asked, wanting to know more about the woman, her potential savior in this labyrinth of lies. "Clara." The name felt like a lifeline as they pressed onward. "And you too? You've stepped into something bigger than you know. Nathan is after something more than just past secrets." Footsteps echoed behind them. They pressed forward, each sound a reminder of the danger a breath away. Emily felt the warm pulse of the night through her skin, igniting an awareness of every beat, every breath. "What does he want?" Emily called back, trying to keep her voice steady. "Your mother's legacy," Clara heaved in response, maneuvering deftly through the dim passage. "You have no idea what she was part of. The people she was entangled with, their power, all of it branches back to you now, Emily." Emily's stomach twisted. "What do you mean? I don't have anything to do with this." "Not yet," Clara said, "but you can't avoid it any longer. Secrets are in your blood. It's time you learned their weight." As they rounded a corner, faint light spilled through a grungy window. The sound of voices grew louder, an eerie confirmation of Nathan's determined pursuit. "Just keep going," Vincent urged. His grip on Emily's hand was reassuring as they moved faster. They burst through into a narrow street. The world beyond lay bathed in shadows, illuminated only by faint streetlights. But there was little time for relief. "Over there." Clara pointed to an old van, its engine running quietly, and its back doors ajar. "Get in." The three tumbled into the vehicle, urgency racing against time as Clara scrambled into the driver's seat, the door clicking shut just as a figure rushed into view. "Go! Go!" Emily shouted as the van lurched forward. She glanced back, catching the briefest glimpse of Nathan and his men silhouetted against the building, but they were already weaving through the empty streets. The engine roared to life, and they sped away, the adrenaline sharp and electric in the air. Clara ripped off her sunglasses, meeting their gaze in the rearview mirror, determination still strong. "We'll lay low until I can get you to safety. But I promise you'll learn everything soon." Vincent's brow furrowed. "And Nathan? He won't stop until he gets what he wants." "Then we'll be ready," Clara said firmly. "You've already shown you have strength. You took control back there." Emily felt the spark of empowerment flicker in her chest. She defaced shadows, confronted her past, and now she had allies willing to stand beside her. As the van wound through alleyways, Emily took a moment to catch her breath. Her heart still raced, but it wasn't fear, it was the impending knowledge that this was her fight. A fight for her future and the truth of her past. And suddenly, a sense of clarity sliced through the whirlwind of uncertainty. "I want to know everything," Emily said, voice steady. "I want to reclaim my life." Vincent turned to her, eyes fierce. "You're not alone in this. We're in it together. Whatever it takes." Clara nodded in affirmation, the road stretching ahead like a canvas blank and filled with potential. "This is only the beginning, Emily. You're strong, a force to reckon with." As the city lights faded behind them, a new resolve ignited within Emily. She was ready to confront the secrets, to dive deep into the darkness that lay ahead and emerge transformed. Together, they would rewrite their destinies. And just as the reality of their past sank in, she knew that every step forward was a step closer to the truth she had been chasing all her life. This was at the moment everything changed. "Act fast. You need to subscribe now to catch every twist and turn in this story as Emily faces her past. Smash that like button now to help the algorithm and keep the story alive. And I want to hear your reactions. Flood the comments section and share your theories about what's coming next. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this concludes. Your support means everything. Don't miss the next chapter.